Hey everybody, Alan Sanders here, and today we're talking about something that actually grinds my gears a little bit, and it's something that I used to say and something that I've heard a lot of people say more recently, and that's this idea that if I buy a more expensive piece of equipment or a more expensive instrument or something like that, it'll make me a better musician or a better recording engineer or something like that. And while that is true at a certain point, for the most part, you're not going to have the same results, I think, that you probably believe you will. And so you say, well, okay, how do I get better if, buying a more expensive piece of equipment or something isn't going to improve what I'm doing? And for the last couple years, I've been living by this principle a lot. I heard it originally from the Recording Revolution. It's this guy named Graham Cochran. He introduced it to me. And it's this idea of using what you have. Like what is right in front of you that you can use right now to make music? Like what do you have now? How can you start today to make music? And so I think to start, you have to start at ground zero in order to get to level one, right? So you have to fundamentally understand your instrument or your gear. So if you have a plug-in, let's say you have a compressor that has like gain and a threshold. If you don't know what those two things do, and then you go out and buy a compressor that has gain, threshold, release, attack, knee, all that stuff, it's not going to make your recording sound better. All you're going to do is you're going to have three extra things on your plug-in that you don't understand. And it's the same thing with instruments. It's like, I grew up playing like $100 guitar. And it was actually pretty hard to play at first. Like, it was almost like playing a dobro. The strings were that far off the fretboard. It was insane. But, when I finally learned how to do it and I finally got a good guitar, man, it was such a huge difference. And I was able to play more fluently, and it did make a big difference at that point. And so I'm kind of a testimony of using what you have, I guess you could say. But instead of going out to buy something, I want to challenge you to use what you have. Squeeze it for everything that you can get out of it. So if you can't get the tone out of your guitar that you want, go out and find another guitar. And I will say, there's obviously a difference between a Johnson guitar and a Martin guitar. A Johnson will never sound as good as a Martin guitar, and that's okay. So at that point in your playing, it's like, all right, go out and find something that works for you. Same with plugins. If you know every part of your plugin and you just cannot get the sound out of it that you want, go explore other options. I don't think there's any problem with that. So how do you know if you've squeezed everything out of what you have? Well, have you ever tried to explain something to someone out loud? Like if I asked you to explain the parts of your compressor, could you tell me what the gain is, what the threshold, the release, the attack, what all that stuff is? And if you can't, you probably haven't squeezed everything out of it. And not only that, but can you tell me how it's used to shape the sound of your recording? So those are the things that you need to know. Fully know your instrument, fully know your software, your plugins, your microphones, all that stuff, to know if you've squeezed everything out of it. So I'd love to know. Just comment some ways below that you could start today at getting better just with what you have. Maybe you are an engineer, maybe you're a musician. How can you start practicing differently? How can you try and do some different mic placement for your recordings, different things like that? How can you start to get better? And when you do, you'll save money, you'll gain knowledge, and you'll get better in general. So make sure you like and subscribe and comment down below. Hopefully you got something out of this video. I'd love to hear from you, and thanks for tuning in.